Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today's pick a card is all about when will it happen. So we're going to be doing a bit of a timing prediction. So I'm going to spend the intro sort of going over what it works, so how today's going to work. So please stay tuned because I won't be going over this in each pile, just to make sure that everything can be relatively contained. So first off, the bat, I do not do life or death readings. So if you're asking about anything like that, this reading will not apply. And also, this reading will only work if this is something that you want to happen. So the messages won't apply and they won't be relevant if you're asking about an event that you actually don't want to happen. So keep that in mind when you're selecting your piles, and also during the reading as well. So this is all going to be about what do you want to happen. Um, and then when we get into the actual piles and pile selections, the reading will have two parts. So the first part will be looking at, is the energy around this being helped or blocked? So I'll pull some tarot cards. And if there are more reverse cards than there are upright cards, then that's a good indication that the energy around what you're desiring, your desired manifestation, we'll call it, is being blocked. And then we'll draw some timing predictions to look at what like the current energies are for when this is likely going to come in. Then, given that it's like a blocked energy, on the converse, if the cards are mostly upright, then it means that the energy is being helped. So we'll keep that in mind when looking at when it's likely going to be happening. And I think I'm doing it this way because I think sometimes like timing predictions can get a little bit too broad, and I'm not going to spend any time in your individual piles looking at what it is that you're trying to manifest, just because it's going to be a large group of you, and you're each going to manifest different things. But I just want to sort of get like the collective energy is what you're trying to bring in. Is it being helped? Is it being blocked? And then pull some timing with that in mind so you can sort of understand, um, like when to expect it. And maybe there'll be messages going through for the blocked energy for why it's being blocked at this time and how we can sort of like speed things up. Um, or if it's a redirection or anything. But that I'm going to leave completely up to spirit, because a lot of the times when I try and do that, sometimes I don't get very clear answers. So I'm not going to promise that we will get a definitive answer on why your energy is being blocked at this time, but we will look at if the energy around your desired manifestation is being helped or blocked, and then just get some timing predictions. All right, now that we have covered that, let's go into your pile selection. So today we have 5 stones to choose from. The first one is this volcanic Icelandic stone that I picked up when I went to Iceland the first time. For group number 2, we have the malachite. For group number 3, we've got this crystallized stone I got from the Dead Sea, so we're calling it the Dead Sea. This one we've got, I think this might be an aura. We'll just call it mystery. I keep meaning to look up the name of this. Oh, will you focus? There you go. So pile number 4, it's a mystery stone. And pile number 5 is the amethyst. So those are your options laid out. So take as much time as you need to pick your pile. You can pick more than one pile in this reading if you have more than one thing that you are asking about. But again, keep in mind that this reading will only work if you are trying to get messages for something that you want to happen, or timing predictions for something that you actually want to happen. All right. So, oh, the last thing I mentioned, I think I'll do like two different time frames um, using the Moonology Oracle cards. So I'll pick two different time frames, and it'll either be a window or just like two significant moments in time to look at. Okay, so that's it. I will see you in your piles. Hi, pile ones. Welcome to your reading. So today's reading is a timing prediction, and we're looking at when will it happen. If you want the full breakdown of how this reading will go, I would go back to the intro because that's where I go over everything. The main thing to keep in mind, and I'm going to remind and this in every pile at the start, this reading will only work if you are looking at something that you want to happen. And remember, I do not do readings on life or death. So, with that being said, let's get into it. So, you guys chose this Icelandic volcanic stone for pile number one. So, I have laid out your first spread, which we'll just be looking at, is this energy being helped or blocked around your manifestation? So we will be looking at that in the first instance. So I've drawn 5 cards here because I think it'll be really helpful in this reading in particular, just to have a definitive energy around, is this being helped or blocked? All right, so we've got the World in reverse as your first card. We have the Six of Swords in reverse, the King of Wands in reverse, the Fool in reverse, and the Two of Pentacles in the reverse. Okay, my dears, this is a very clear sign that based on current energies, this is the energy around your manifestation is being blocked. So from what I can see here, you do have two major arcana, and it's sort of signaling that there, again, this is sort of like a divine hand coming in to say, we're putting pause on whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. But it's pause with good reason. Ordinarily, if you had all of these cards in the upright, it would be beautiful energy. And with them all being in the reverse, I think what Spirit is really calling you to do is reconsider. I think there's something about the path that you are hoping to go down that Spirit really wants you to think about, because it seems like there is another path and another option that you currently aren't seeing that will get you to your goal faster. And I think that's kind of what Spirit is trying to get at with the Six of Swords in reverse. There's like a path that hasn't been revealed to you yet, but right now, kind of like with the King of Wands in reverse, you're so focused and so invested in your current mode and current modality of doing things that you're just not seeing it. And I'm getting a little bit of a stubborn energy with the King of Wands and the Two of Pentacles, to be honest, my dears. It's really feeling like I have put so much effort into this, like I really want this to happen. I really want this to happen in this way. And with the Fool here, the Spirit is saying, like, you need to actually open yourself up to the potentials and what happens if you just let go of the way. Because sometimes when we manifest, and I know I've been guilty of this in the past, because there was one thing around like how my career wanted to go, and I remember being in school being like, all right, this is my 5-year plan, this is my 10-year plan, and then this is my 15-year plan. This is how I'm going to get this goal like done. And it was what I was so certain I wanted at that time. And lo and behold, I'm doing nothing like that. Like when I tell people what I originally went to university for, like they're always like shocked, being like, that's literally, that's not what you're doing right now. And I'm like, I know, if you really think about it, they're connected, but on the surface level, it's not. So I think really what Spirit is saying is that you need to let go, um, because there is going to be like some divine opportunities open up for you, but because you're so focused on this, you're going to think that they're not in alignment. And the divine opportunities are twofold. One, it's to confirm with you that what you are seeking is actually what you want and actually going to push you closer to your goal. Because sometimes I think we get caught up in what we think we should do based on what our friends and our families are doing, and sometimes based on what they tell us we should be doing with our lives. So I think that that's can definitely be at play here. And Spirit really wants you to think about it from a reconsider, is this actually what you want? And if not, this is your opportunity to course correct and take the time to be like, oh, I was holding on to this dream and ambition because let's say this was around your career, and you're like, oh, I want to be an accountant because my older brother's an accountant, my older sister's an accountant, and it just sort of seems like this is just what the people in my family do. Like we become accountants. And Spirit is saying, but do you? But do you want to be an accountant? Like, can leave everybody out of the mix? Is that where your soul is guiding you at this moment in time? And on the second half, if it is something that you want to do, are you too stuck on a path to realize that there are multiple ways to get to the same end result? So if you kind of think about it, this is very focused on like math, and career and stuff and numbers. But if you think about it, like in math, there are so many ways to solve like a problem, and sometimes my TikTok feed thinks that I'm still in school and will be like, oh, this tutor being like, these are all the ways that you can add or subtract. And there was this new method that I'd never been taught or never even considered that got you to the same answer. So there are multiple ways to approach a problem and then get the same result. So it's like argue so tied to a certain mode that you're not seeing that there's another path that will bring you more ease and like will work with your brain and your energy and your circumstances a lot better, right? Like I think let's bring this, let's use another example. So it's kind of like when you see people like participating in fitness challenges and like being like, yeah, the 75 hard has been really popular with like my friends and family and on my feed, or not my family. Let me be honest about my family, around my friend group. Um, and like my friends and I are currently doing it. And I was like, I am going to take this like 75 hard because this is what I want to get out of it. And there's this other YouTuber who I really love her content, Kelty O'Connor, and she like did a video on 75 hard in the way that I did like approach 75 hard, which was like some of the rules don't make sense based on what I'm trying to achieve and the type of discipline I'm trying to bring into my life. So what I can do is take the framework that it provides and say, okay, you know, this is kind of how I'm going to approach. And the whole purpose of it for me is around getting it done. And I remember sitting down and talking to my friend, trying to convince him, and he was like, oh, but you're not doing it. And I'm like, I am. I'm not doing it according to someone else's rules because I know I'm going to set myself up for failure. Like, there are some days where getting 2 45-minute workouts in, no break, like easy, eating well, reading 10 pages of a nonfiction book or an audiobook, like that that will be so easy for me. And other days where I'm like have to be realistic and say, if the goal for me is to complete this, and I need it to be like flexible enough and focused on the things that, I'm actually trying to achieve, and being like, okay, like let's get it done. So my approach to it was like, I'm just going to do two workouts a day. I'm not going to set like time restrictions. One of them I'm going to try and get them closer to the 45-minute mark. But cumulatively they will add up to 45 minutes at a minimum. And instead of it being like a book, it's going to be sometimes like books, but I just want to make sure that I am either reading or learning. So whatever content it is, like I must be, you know, whatever like content I'm consuming, like part of that must be educational in some way. So for me, that could be like, watching a video around like investing, or watching a video around like the science behind exercise, or listening to a podcast about something that I'm interested in, or an audiobook, or reading a book. So I've kept it quite broad to actually align with my goals. And I know when Kelty was doing her video, she was talking about, because she was doing another bigger challenge that year around trying to quit her 12 dirtiest habits. And she had reached a point where she had picked some up, and there were some of them that were harder to quit than she initially thought. So she focused her 75 hard around changing her relationship with those habits to, like have a better outcome. So I think it's again about being more flexible in our approach so that we can achieve the things that we're setting out to do in a way that works for us. And it's not getting too caught up in how we think things should be done based on whatever someone else says or what other people tell us. It's about being realistic, not being too lax, because I know sometimes we get into that habit, but about being realistic about what it is that we're trying to achieve, the resources that we have, and the people we are, so we can meet our end goal. Okay. And that's basically what Spirit is asking you to do in this instance. And that's kind of like, those are the opportunities I would look out for. So, for our last part of the reading, we are going to get some timing predictions. He'll be using the Moonology oracles. These I won't take reversals because it won't make any sense. So I get a second. They had one fly out, so I think something's going to happen fairly soon. Okay. And then a couple cards fly out. So we've got the waxing crescent moon, and then the full moon in Capricorn. So what I would say for your timing predictions, for something, and it's not necessarily going to be about the outcome, so I just want to make sure that you keep this in mind for what I'm about to say, because how quickly this came up, something around your manifestation or some key piece of information is going to be revealed quite quickly. And I would look at when the moon is next, like a waxing crescent. So it's like growing, waxing is growing into the full moon. And then for, I would look at the next full moon in Capricorn. So that would kind of be, I don't think this would be in the same time period. So if you are in like the time of the year, we just had a full moon in Capricorn, for example, around the time that this is coming up. So I'd expect the next full moon in Capricorn to be around January of next year. So that would kind of make sense based on like the energies that currently being blocked. So I would say, depending on when you're watching this, these two events wouldn't happen in the same lunar cycle. So it wouldn't be the waxing crescent moon leading up to the full moon in Capricorn. It would probably be the waxing crescent moon, your next waxing crescent moon, and then the next full moon in Capricorn, if that makes sense. So let's say if you're watching this like in January, um, which I think that's when the full moon in Capricorn is. If not, I'll put like a title or something. But if you don't see one, then I was right. Yay. So let's say you're watching it in January and then you're like, oh, waxing crescent moon. And then it's like, oh, the full moon in Capricorn is next week. It wouldn't be this full moon in Capricorn. It would be like the following one, if that makes sense. So these are the two timings that I would look out for in regards to your manifestation as like either key information going to be revealed or an opportunity for a key shift to try and bring in this manifestation a lot faster. But this card did come out quite quickly. Okay, thank you so much, pile number ones. This is all that I am seeing for you. Thank you so much for letting me read for you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day whenever you're watching. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hi, Pal Twos. Welcome to your reading. So, in today's reading, we are going in a timing prediction, looking at when will it happen. So, my lovely Pal Twos, you picked the Malachite. This is gonna focus. Thank you. If you want a full breakdown of how this reading is going to go, then please listen back to the intro. The only disclaimer I'm doing at the top of each pile is I do not do readings on life or death, and this reading will only work if you are asking about something that you want to happen. So please keep that in mind. So with that, I'll get into it. So I have your spread out here. We're going to first get into the energy around your manifestation being helped or blocked at this time. I've gone with an odd number of cards so we can get a definitive yes or no, because I don't think a maybe will be helpful for this video in particular. But sometimes I do think it's helpful. So I'm going to drink some of my tea. And let's get into it. So for your first card, you have the King of Pentacles in the upright. You have the Ace of Swords in the reverse. You have the Ace of Cups in the upright. You have the Ten of Swords in reverse. Oh, what will it be? And the Hierophant in the reverse. We were really close, guys. I was actually rooting for this to be upright. Okay, my dears. So this is very clear. It's being blocked right now. And I think it's being, again, with this being the final card and this being in reverse, and also looking at how the Hierophant is sort of facing towards the future, is how I'm intuitively picking this up, is that this is just a not yet card. I think this isn't asking you to do anything more. I think the energy is flowing in such a nice forward emotion, and the cards that I would want in the reverse are in the reverse, so particularly the Ten of Swords. And this indicates to me that you've put in a lot of hard work, and with the Ace of Swords in reverse, it's kind of like Spirit saying there's nothing left for you to do. Like, please just leave it to me. And I think you're really showing up as this King of Pentacles. Like, you have put in the work, put in the efforts, had the vision, stayed really true. And I really believe that this is something that you've worked really hard in the physical whole realm, as well as in sort of like your personal realm around like any healing that you've needed to do, any sort of emotional preparedness to bring in this manifestation. I feel like you have done an amazing, amazing job for trying to bring this in. I think right now, Spirit is just saying you have done everything humanly possible to bring this in. This is just a matter of time. And with the Ten of Swords here, it's like this is sort of, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm getting the energy that this is sort of like kept you up at night and been very, difficult. And for some of you, this is something that you've been trying to manifest for a really, really long time. Um, and like getting this like defeated energy and feeling like, oh, when will this happen? Like all of my efforts have been for naught. And with the Ace of Cups here, Spirit is saying your wish fulfillment is coming true. Like, I just need a little bit more time to work on some stuff behind the scenes. That's by and large what I'm getting here. This is not a no, you need to rethink. This is more just a not yet, baby. Like that's really just it. Spirit just wants you to hold on and be a little bit more patient. I know that's easier said than done, but that's really the message is saying. It's like your manifestation just isn't ready right now, and we want to be able to bring in everything in divine and aligned timing. So I really do think divine timing's at play. You're not being punished for anything. I feel like I just heard someone be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm being punished." It's like, no, you're not being punished for anything, my angel. Like, it's really just spirit wants to make sure that you've put in a lot of work for this, and they want to make sure that you have something that's worthy of the effort that you've put in, and not all the pieces have come into play yet. It's kind of like um when you order something online and like it's saying like, oh, we hope to get it to you by like this day, and then you keep checking, and the shipping estimation date or the delivery date keeps getting postponed, and it's like you're getting frustrated, but it's kind of just sort of like there are other things happening behind the scenes. So it could have been like a cargo ship got lost and they're trying to replace it with a better product, or they had to recall a part. So something like that, like energetically feels like what's going on. So they're just saying, hold on tight, please, we know how frustrating this is, but just wait. Just wait. Okay, so that's all I'm getting for like the this part of your reading. So let us look some timing predictions. So this is going to be related to what you're trying to manifest. It may not be the outcome. I just want to set that expectation from now because we haven't gotten that consistently in every group. So can I get a timing prediction for pile number 2, please? Okay. Deck is taking its time, so I think it's gonna, okay, so one's come out. Can I get a second timing prediction, please? For my pile number 2s. All right, you clearly want to come out. Thank you, Spirit. So we've got the full moon in Leo. Don't let pride get in your way. And what do you need to release? Waning moon. So what I'm getting overwhelmingly for this is either Leo season, because I was really drawn. Normally I like do this side first and this side. I was really drawn to flip over this card first. So it's either Leo season, and then the waning moon in Leo season as sort of like a significant point. So the moon wanes for a few days, and that's when it's like removing from the full moon. And so I think this is like the important time frame for you around this manifestation is either the upcoming Leo moon, Leo season. Um, it's whichever one's further from what I'm about to say, because the cards that take a little bit of time. If Leo season's next month, it's probably not happening there. That's not what the energy is giving me. Um, but it is either like the time frame for something significant happening around your manifestation, waning moon in Leo season, or when the next full moon in Leo is. Um, and I will do a subtitle for when that is from at least this time in the video. And usually it's just like around a year on. And the waning moon that happens after that full moon in Leo. So it's whichever one's farthest. So again, if it's like, oh, the full moon in Leo's next week, not that one, babe. you want to look at Leo season. Or if it's like, oh, Leo season's now, it's like, when is the full moon in Leo, basically. So the spirit is just asking you to be patient for a little bit longer. For a very small group of you, it will be the shorter swan, but I think for the vast majority, just around like the energies, and how the deck shuffled, it will be farther, the second, whichever one's farther away. Hopefully I didn't confuse you with that one, but that is all the messages that I am seeing here today for you, my pile number twos. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day whenever you're watching this, and hope you come back. Hi, pile threes. Welcome to your reading. So today's reading is all about when will it happen? So we're doing a little bit of a timing prediction for you. Some quick disclaimers. Uh, if you want to see the full breakdown and listen to the full breakdown of how I'm structuring today's reading, then please go back to the introduction. I go over it in a lot of depth. But the main disclaimer I want to make is I do not do readings on life or death. This reading will only work if you're asking about something that you want to happen. So with that being said, pile number threes, you picked this stone that I got in the Dead Sea. If it will focus, I think it's gorgeous. And so we will get into the first part of your reading, which is all about, is the energy of surrounding your manifestation being helped or blocked at the present moment in time? So for your first card, we have the Three of Swords in reverse. The second card, we have the King of Swords in reverse. Then we have the Nine of Cups in the upright. The Six of Cups in the upright. And the Six of Wands in the reverse. Okay. I want to look at the bottom of the deck for you guys. Give me one. Where did I put the deck? All right, we've got the Four of Pentacles in the upright. So the reason I wanted to look at that, and I'll leave that right here, is because the energy is being blocked right now. What I'm getting though, and okay, let me start at the beginning. So I did 5 because I want to get a very definitive, is it being blocked or is it being helped right now? And you guys are one of the only groups so far that haven't gotten any major arcana, which I think is significant. And with a lot of the cup energy, I think that there is a key relationship and something that's it's someone else is involved. So what I'm getting is the energy is being blocked, but it's not because of you. It seems like there's another person involved in your manifestation. And I don't want to say that it's like they're not aware of what's going on. For some of you, it could be. Yeah, actually, the example I was going to give, like, is it's like they're not aware of like what's going on. So it's not being blocked as if spirit saying like a no, a redirect. Spirit, it's mainly being there's another person involved that you either haven't met yet, um, or has it come across like your energy. So it's like you may know of them, but they don't know of you as of yet, or you guys just haven't come into any sort of thing. So really part of the reason I'm thinking that is if you're looking at where everyone's sort of facing. So you've got like most of the figures looking this way and one person looking that way. So it seems like there's just energy of if everyone could get on the same page of like where we're looking, then like I don't think I'm describing this well, but it's just kind of the overwhelming energy I'm getting is that there's another person involved in this manifestation. Um, and they're kind of over here, but the energy and the flow is kind of like here because you're concentrating on what you can do. With the Three of Swords in reverse, like that kind of just feels like you're coming into this place where you probably have more optimism because the Three of Swords is a card that is about heartbreak. So with it being in reverse, like I'm getting the sense that you're having more optimism around this manifestation. It feels like you've released a lot, particularly when it comes to the King of Swords. Like you've made your peace with the fact that you have made a lot of decisions that'll get you there. It's just I think it's just about like a relationship. With this being like the card in the upright, I really just do think it is about a relationship that's coming that will help you get this victory that's sort of promised in the Six of Wands, which is kind of like what I'm reading as the outcome. Is like the outcome is like this potential for this victory. It's just you haven't met the person who will help you get there as of yet. So it's not being blocked in the sense that they're hiding this person away. Like they just haven't, like spirit hasn't figured out a way to bring your energies into alignment. So I'm going to list out a couple of examples. So let's say you're applying for jobs and trying to make a career change or change companies or something like that. Then it could just be that like you've applied to the company that you're going to end up working for, but the hiring manager hasn't gotten your resume yet. Like it's still with HR. It hasn't been shortlisted yet, so it hasn't been put to the person who's going to be like, oh, pal number three as a standout candidate. I really want to meet pal number three. It hasn't gotten to that point yet. If this is like a friendship, for example, it could be, um, let's say you're like, oh, I want to make a friend this year, and you're like, I'm going to put myself out there and go to all of these different like activities and nights and try and meet somebody. And it could just be like you're frequenting the right cafe, but it's just like the times haven't aligned as of yet. So I would also try and pay attention to when you're feeling like an intuitive hit. And those are kind of really hard to describe, but the way that they usually happen for me is if I suddenly feel like an overwhelming urge to do something or to be someplace or to not be someplace. Um, so the way I always describe to my friends is like I am late. Like that's the kind of person I am. High ADHD, time blindness, it's a real thing. But also like sometimes like I just intuitively know like if I'm getting ready to meet somebody or go someplace, like, oh, if I don't feel panicked, then it's like there's probably a reason I'm delayed. It's kind of like the burnt toast theory, if you've heard of that. There's probably a reason I'm delayed. And more than often, it's like if I'm going to meet a friend or something, and it's like I'm getting ready, I'm taking my time, like, okay, cool, I'll leave now. Then they get in touch with me, it's like, oh, I'm going to be 20 minutes late. And then I look at the time, it's like, oh, like I'm going to, by the time I get there, you'll be there. Like, it'll be fine. Or it's one of those things where like my appointment was delayed and I didn't even know, but I showed up at a time where I was going to be seen. Or if I'm like, oh, let me get there early, like kind of that kind of vibe. So it kind of just feels like the pieces haven't lined up as of yet, like they're in motion, but it's not necessarily this doesn't really feel like it's being blocked. It's just saying like it's not an imminent thing. It's coming, but it's not like a tomorrow thing. For like the full version of your manifestation, it's just sort of like they're looking at when will the pieces sort of align. So that's all I have for this part of your reading. So I will slide everything up and we will try and get some timing predictions for you. My dears are going to do 2 timing predictions. So Spirit, can I get a timing prediction? Okay. So you had a lot of cards come out. And so you have the a lot of cards go on the floor, so I was picking those up. You have you're very close to achieving your goal, gibbous moon, and nothing is yet set in stone, mutable moon. So with this, I think Spirit is just sort of confirming what we talked about here is like you're very, very close. The final pieces haven't lined up as of yet. Um, it's this feels more like the pile where the outcome is happening soon. It's just this is what the timing is. It's like the final version of your manifestation hasn't come into fruition just because we're getting the final pieces to be set in stone, is how I'm reading this. Um, so, what I would say is the key timing predictions is when the moon is next in a mutable sign. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with the mutable signs, that is when the moon is next in Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces. And I'd say, like, the point in time that you really want to look for, because this doesn't really feel like 2 separate times. So, because you have 4 signs in the mutable signs, it was like the next time the gibbous moon is in a mutable sign, if that makes sense. So the next time the gibbous moon, so the gibbous moon is just sort of like the face of a moon. So greater than a semicircle, less than a circle, so less than a full moon. Um, so yeah, so looking at when the moon is gibbous and in one of the signs, so that's Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. That's going to be the key thing. And that's when I think likely either the final pieces will come in together or that's when you're likely going to get your outcome around that time, or I'd say within like the month following that event. Okay, well, thank you so much, my pile number threes. That is all I have for you. Those are all the messages I'm seeing. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day whenever you're watching, and hope you come see me next time. Bye. Hi, Pop Fours. Welcome to your reading. So today's reading is all about a timing prediction. We're looking at when will it happen. So my pile number fours, you have chosen this mystery boy. Or this mystery stone. I'm gonna try and figure out, I keep saying this, but I'm gonna make it a mission to try and figure out what this is called. Um, so if you want the full breakdown of today's reading, that is in the intro, so I would look there. The only thing I'm reminding all the piles of before we get into it is that A, I do not do readings on life or death, and B, this reading is only going to work if you are asking about something that you actually want to happen. I've pre-shuffled your tarot, so the first part of the reading we're going to look is in how let me got really tongue-tied there. Let me restart. The first part of the reading is going to be looking at is the energy of your manifestation being helped or blocked in this present moment. So for our first card, we have the Six of Swords in reverse. For a second card, the Page of Cups in reverse. For the third, the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. For the fourth card, the Four of Cups in the upright. And the Star in the reverse. So this is looking like the energy around your manifestation is being blocked right now. And I'm trying to get a read on why that might be. I okay. So what I'm getting initially is what you want or the details around what you're manifesting aren't actually aligned with like the bigger picture. And I'm hearing that it's not like really for your highest good, which I'm gonna see if I can try and skirt around that because I don't want this part of the reading to be about what is it that you're manifesting, just around like what is the energy. And spirit is blocking it with the star in reverse, because it's not actually aligned with what the specific goal that you're trying to reach is what I'm hearing. With the Six of Swords in reverse, it feels like if you were to actually manifest the specific thing, you would be taken in the complete opposite direction for what it is that you're actually trying to accomplish. So it just feels that what you want isn't aligned with like the larger goal. So it's what I'm getting the sense of is that like there's a bigger goal and a bigger vision that you have, and this manifestation currently in your mind is going to help you get there, and spirit is coming in and saying not exactly. Like you could get what this is, but it's not really what you need in this moment of time. Like that's literally what spirit is saying. And so this is kind of interesting because this message is more so about like the bigger goal that you have in mind. And I feel like this is a specific message, so you'll know if this resonates for you or not. There's a bigger goal, and like I would think of the thing that came to mind when I said it. And there's something smaller that you're trying to manifest within it. So, like, for example, if your goal is to move to a new city, and you're like, oh, like the easiest way for me to do this is to go back to school, for example. So I'm going to look for, scholarships or look at programs in this new city or new place. And that's kind of like the avenue you're going down. And spirit's really just saying, like, actually examine what it is that you want to achieve out of going to this new place, right? So let's say for the school example, it's around, or the city example, it's around like, oh, like if I move here, hold on, I need to change my battery. Sorry about that. What was I saying? Yeah, so spirit wants you to really evaluate like what is the ultimate purpose of what you're trying to um achieve. So it's so like for the school example, and again, this is just more to illustrate my point than trying to, if you're not trying to manifest this exactly, don't worry about it. Just listen to the message. Um, so it's like, oh yeah, like I really want to get into like Columbia Law School, for example, because I want to move to New York. And it's like, okay, why do I want to move to New York? And it's like, oh, because I think my person is there. Like, I think I've dated around. I think ultimately the type of person I'm looking for would be attracted to a city like New York, then Spirit's like, okay, so your dream isn't actually to go to Columbia Law School. Your dream is to move to New York. And while getting into law school at Columbia would, technically get you there, it's going to come with the burden of like countless hours, potentially put you in debt, not take away from your free time so that you actually won't have time to go out and date and to meet people and to explore in the way that you're hoping, so that you would be in a better position to find your person, if that makes sense. So what Spirit is saying is like actually get to the heart of what it is that you're trying to manifest and then redirect, right? So it's like, yes, you could go to, Columbia Law School, and we could do that for you, but it doesn't really seem like that's actually what you're trying to do. Your goal isn't to become a lawyer, your goal is to move to New York. And it feels like you're almost manifesting the safer option or the safer route to get to your dream because you're afraid to take like the leap. And it's kind of like what the message of the Four of Cups here, just I was a little bit shaky in the beginning, but this is coming together. It's making sense where you're looking at like Spirit's like, this is what you want, right? You want to make this move, you want to make this leap. And you're like, well, I'm only comfortable going with the tried and true and to take like one step at a time, like, and to take this cup and this cup and this cup, and then work on the fourth cup. And Spirit's saying you kind of just need to go for it. And with the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, like, you have everything you need, and it's not going to be as scary as a leap as you might initially think it is, because you have everything you need within you. Like the passion, the drive, the alignment, and it's really like this is kind of like Spirit coming to say, we want to offer this to you. We want you to get you in this energy so that you can have the wish fulfillment. But with the Four of Cups, this makes a lot of sense. So like we move it here, it's like the Four of Cups is like, no, I want to go this way to get to, New York, for example. And it's like, you will still get there. Like the paths will still lead you back here, but one path will bring you a lot more joy and a lot more emotional fulfillment and really fill your cup. And another path will just kind of get you there, but lead you to a lot more detours than necessary. All right. I hope that clarified and gave you some guidance, because it feels like Spirit really wanted to make sure that you heard that message today. What I'm going to do now is pull two cards to get your timing predictions. So Spirit we'll be using the Moonology Oracle deck. Okay. So we have full moon eclipse. Conclusions are within reach. Look at the bigger picture, the full moon in Sagittarius. And you had two more come out, more than the other groups, and I feel like the message is relevant. First quarter moon, your commitment is being tested. It's time to take action. New moon in Aries. So you have a variety of milestones. Um, Again, I'm not really, for a lot of the groups, I haven't really been getting like the timing as like the outcome. And for you, it makes sense for why it might not be. And I think for you, it's mostly about the messages and the guides and the essence of the moon. But let's talk about the timings. So I would say the next full moon in Sagittarius and then the next new moon in Aries. I would look at when those are because something significant along this path would happen, is likely to happen, whether that's like an epiphany or like the manifestation of an event that gets you closer to your goal, or maybe like the redirect we were talking about. And then I would say, again, if the full moon eclipse is in the full moon in Sagittarius, that seems like when everything would come into fruition. I don't have that memorized. So if it is actually coming up at the time of this reading within a couple of years, then yes, take this 100%. If not, then I would look at the full moon, the next eclipse, like full moon eclipse as well as the first quarter moon in Aries, I'm hearing. So I'd say because we have two fi- fire signs, particularly when the first quarter moon is in Aries, but to broaden it a little bit, what I'm also hearing is like if the first quarter moon is in any fire sign, the next time that happens, that's when this shift is going to start to take place for you, and be a very significant time frame. Okay, so thank you so much, my pal number fours. That is all the messages I have for you. Thank you for letting me read for you. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day whenever you're watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye. Hi, Pal Fives. Welcome to your reading. So today is all about when will it happen. So if you want a full breakdown as to how today's reading is going to go, then I would just pop back over to the intro because I go over everything. The only disclaimer I'm giving to all of the groups is that I do not do readings on life or death. So it won't work if you're asking something about about that realm. And then the second disclaimer is this reading will only work if you're asking about something that you want to happen. So keep that in mind. So my pal number fives, you have chosen the lovely amethyst. And it's focusing, gorgeous. So this part of the reading, I already have your tarot card shuffled. We're going to be seeing if the energy of your manifestation is being helped or blocked right now. I've gone with 5 cards to get a definitive yes or no, because I don't really, sometimes I think like a maybe is helpful, but for this one, I was getting the energy. Most of the people wanted to watch this reading. We just wanted to know, is it being helped or blocked? So without further ado, let's get into it. So we have the 6 of Wands in the upright, the Fool in the upright, the 8 of Wands in the upright, the 2 of Pentacles in the upright, and the Ace of Pentacles in the upright. So this is a resounding yes. And I also got the sense to look at your bottom of the deck, and I kind of like to use this sometimes to think about the overall energy. And for that, you have the Empress. So a resounding yes. Your manifestation is 100% being helped at this moment in time based on current energies. The Empress, I think, is a beautiful, beautiful, like helping. Let's get her back in frame. Beautiful helping energy from the universe. So what I would say and what I'm getting, especially with the 8 of Wands, is I'm hearing very clearly to expect things to happen relatively quickly. With the 6 of Wands, you're marching towards like victory. I like how the Fool, I was gonna say the Fool of Wands. The Fool of Wands is like leaping into the unknown. And with these 2 cards in particular looking at each other, I think there's been this beautiful merger of the practical side of things with the dreaming side of things. Because, like a dream is a wish your heart makes, but it's one thing to hope and wish about something, and another thing to take the inspired action to try and make it happen. And I feel like what I'm getting is that you guys have done both, and you're being rewarded for having done both, and not only having this big vision for yourself, but taking the practical steps to make it happen. You've had to juggle a lot to sort of balance this and to keep it on, keep it pushing. But I love the Eight of Wands in the middle to say like things are going to happen quite quickly, and it may even lead to more of a balancing act once things sort of come in for you. But it is going to be something with the Ace of Pentacles here. It is going to be something quite stable, something that you can expect for that will plant the foundations for very long-term abundance, and you're going to get a long period of return on whatever it is that you are trying to manifest. So it may not, to just clarify that, because it may not look like the exact same, but like over the years, but like what you're doing is like the good foundation for it. So let's say your manifestation is to get like your own home. So it could look like you getting the apartment you wanted, um, winning the lease if you are in a very competitive housing market. I know I am, making the offer on that. And sort of laying the foundation, and you're able to save up and then eventually buy a house. So the whole thing is around making sure that you have a space that is completely your own and completely like within what you want, and you get to have ownership of that in whichever way that takes form. And that's what the foundation is being led on. For example, it could be you want to start learning to speak a new language, and it could be that you start off with a language app or some language lessons, you get a little bit conversational, then all of a sudden you meet like a friend from the background of the language that you're trying to speak. Spanish just came to my mind, so you make a Spanish speaking friend. You guys converse a lot. They integrate you into your community, into their community, and before you know it, you have like a very real way to continuously practice your Spanish, to the point of fluency, because you're embedded within a community to keep that going. And so that is the energy that we've gotten for you. It's very beautiful and very, very positive. I'm going to put your cards here. So your manifestation is 100% being helped right now and going to lead to some long-term rewards. So for our next part of the reading, I'm just going to pull some timing cards with the Moonology Oracles. So Spirit, can we get some timing predictions for when pile number 5's manifestation will come to play? Ooh, conclusions are within reach. The end of a tough cycle approaches. So I'm getting 4 for this. With the end of a tough cycle approaches, mainly what I'm getting for this is, and I think one of the other groups might have gotten this card as well, is that the wait is over. That's really the message here. So we've got a couple of options for significant time frames. So first of all, full moon eclipse. So whenever that is, I think this came out with the last group as well. So you've gotten repeating. It's so interesting to do this and to do like different groups and see similar cards come out and sort of have different interpretations. So full moon eclipse, if that's coming up, if we're in eclipse season, great, like powerful. I would say like the next eclipse season as well for you. I can't think off the top of my head. When I think of a rough idea, I will put it in the caption for when the next eclipse season is happening. And I would say Capricorn season, or when the full moon is in Capricorn. So that was January. So expect like the next couple of Januaries is when the full moon would be in Capricorn. They're about that time. I would also say Capricorn season would be significant if that is coming up. So, and then for the soonest time frame, because we have 2 full moons here, the next full moon is when you can anticipate that. So I feel like I said a lot of things. So to recap, for the shortest time frame, the next full moon. So if that's coming up within a matter of days, depending on when you're watching this, or within like the next month, the next full moon, 100% something is very likely to happen, especially with the 8 of Wands energy. Then I would say Capricorn season. So the upcoming one, or when the moon is in full moon is in Capricorn, which we just experienced, and that was in beginning of January. So I'd look for January dates as most likely when it's going to happen. And Capricorn season starts end of December to mid end of January, basically. And then the next timing would be when eclipse season is. So that is all the messages I'm seeing for you, my gorgeous pile number 5. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. I hope to see you next time, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day whenever you're watching. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.